How's it going, everyone? CJ from On The Grow here, and today what I'm wanting to do is actually start an experiment using the favorite soil that we've been using, which is Burpee's organic soil. It is this one right here, the potting mix. And I actually want to do a test where I add some worm castings in it to see how we can affect the growth of microgreens. So I'm going to be using this Terra worm castings. This company sent us this product for free. And we've gotten some great results with it, though we've noticed that it grows the crop very fast, and that results in bitterness. Now, in the past, whenever we use different nutrients such as hydroponic nutrients, if the crop grows too fast, we never really notice a whole lot of bitterness from it. We just notice faster growth. So I'm wanting to see how it's actually going to affect the growth of soil and what it does to microgreens. So let's go ahead and jump in and get some trays seeded, and I'll follow throughout this entire process. That way you guys can see the growth of what to expect when adding worm castings to soil. So let's get into it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here. Technically it says -1 because I was trying to do a 1 and I was trying to re-highlight it and I somehow wrote -1. So what we need to do is we need to get some soil into here. Like I said, I'm going to be using this Burpee organic potting mix. So I'm going to do 3 cups of this into each one of these trays here. It's really hard to see because it's filthy, but there's 2-cup line right about here, and I'll just do 1 more cup after this. Okay, so I've got 3 cups of the Burpee organic soil in all of these trays, and I also went ahead and pre-measured out some of the worm castings. Now for this Terra worm castings, they suggest to use the product at a 3-to-1 ratio. So that would actually be 1 full cup for every tray here, because we're using 3 cups of soil. That would be 1 cup of the worm casting. But for this experiment, what I'm actually doing is tray number 1 is going to have no nutrient. Tray number 2 is going to have 1/4 of a cup. Tray number 3 is going to have a 1/2 cup. And then tray number 4 is going to have the full dose, which is 1 cup. So I'm going to go ahead and pour these onto here. And you got to be kind of careful when it comes to worm casting. So what I do is I like to make like a little pit, and I just dump it right in there because it's so fine that it will fall through the mesh. And in fact, most of this soil, or not most, some of the soil will actually fall through as well. So I'll show you guys how we deal with that here in just a minute. So let's go ahead and get all of these kind of added. All right, so now I got those plopped all on top. Now it's time to kind of mix these around. Let me get my little spoons out of the way here. All right, so now it's just time to mix these around. So I'm just gonna kind of do my best to one-handedly kind of work this in here. Now you just want to try to break up any of the clumps or anything like that. And we're just gonna try to mix up this worm casting so it's as even as we can get it in this tray. So I feel like that one's mixed pretty well. Let's go ahead and now kind of smooth it out. And I'm going to do the same thing for the rest of these.
2 very boring minutes later.
Okay, so now anything that I poured on top, I'm just going to do my best to kind of smooth back out again. Just like that. Now it's time for some seeds. Let me find some seeds. I set some spinach. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, let's use this mustard spinach, this Kamatsuna. We're going to use this guy for this experiment. I'm going to get out my tools to measure. So I'm going to do about a tablespoon. I'm going to try to aim for about 10 grams here per tray, so you can see how much I got. Let's take this to my cup. And let me just make sure I can see it. Getting close. Bam, 10 gram, oh, 9.9 and 10.2, so we went over. Pull 0.2 out. Oh, there's always a mini game here. Oh, the mini game, there we go. Okay, so we're at 10 grams. I'm gonna go ahead and seed the first of the trays at 10 grams. I'm just gonna repeat this process for all of them so they all have 10 grams of this mustard spinach Kamatsuna. Okay, so I have now seeded all 4 of these trays. These guys are ready to get some water and then go into their stacking period for germination. So let me bring over my trusty sprayer pump that is very full. Oh. We like to use this little 2-gallon pump right here. I believe we got this from Home Depot, and I'll be sure to put a link in the description below. But I just like it because it has this nice little sprayer tip on it, where you have different settings such as stream, cone, and fan. And I think fan does a great job for watering the whole tray. But personally, I love the cone. So all I need to do, pump this bad boy up. Now let's get some water added to all these trays. So I'm gonna start over here on our just soil one. And the idea is I want to get this wet but not overly saturated. So I just want enough to keep some humidity trapped in there for all these guys to germinate nicely, but not overly wet so that it drips down into the bottom pan. All right, so now I have all 4 of these watered. It is time to get these stacked up. Now I want to kind of randomize the stacking order a little bit. So we'll put tray number 1 at the bottom. I'll put tray number 4 on top of it. Then I'll put tray number 2 on top of that, and then tray number 3 on top of it. And what I'll do is throughout this germination period, I'll actually kind of reverse these. So I'll make 1 the top, and I'll just kind of take whatever is the bottom, I'll put it at the top, and then I'll just keep doing that throughout the every day for this grow. And the last thing we need to do is get a tray put on top. This is the dirty one that we used to catch some of that dirt. And let's grab a little 7-pound paver here. We're gonna set this right on top. The reason I like to stack them up and put a little paver on there is that it really does help out with the germination, and it traps all the humidity down in there, and it also presses the seeds down into the medium, and that really helps with them having contact with that soil that retains all that moisture, and it really helps them to break out of those seed holes and to germinate. So that's the reason I do this. All right, so this is now ready to go onto the shelf. I'm gonna grab this very carefully with one hand, and I am going to slide it onto my shelf over here. And this is gonna stay here for the next probably 3 or 4 days as it germinates, and I'll keep you guys updated throughout the germination process. I'll probably see you in about 3 days whenever it's time to go into blackout. And what I'm gonna do from now on is I'm just gonna mist this once in the morning and then once in the evening. So I'll see you guys here in about 3 days. All right, you guys, we're on day 2 of this burpee soil additive experiment where we added some worm castings into these, and the growth is actually going really, really well, to the point that we have to move this out of germination and into the light today. Now, normally we do an additional 2 days of germination. There's another day of wait and another day of blackout, but just peeking at these trays, they are starting to actually like push each other over, and it is definitely time to move these into the light. So as you guys can see here, just look how crazy these things have gotten. So let's pull this off and get these unstacked. Man, see the growth that we just got on this tray number 3 so far? This is incredibly high and fast growth for only 2 days of germination. This is generally where we are after day 3, maybe even 4. All right, so now it is time to introduce these into the light. Like I said, they are just a really good height, and it's time for them to get introduced. So I am going to introduce these to our 3 Barina T5 20-watt LEDs. These are the lights that I like to suggest to a lot of people because they're cheap up front and they are cheap to run, and they do a really great job. I'm gonna kind of stack these in order here so we can kind of take a peek. Okay, so let's take a look at the growth now that these are all underneath of the light. So tray number 1 right here, you can see the growth on this is looking really, really uniform. I'm loving the height on it, and I think it looks like really solid germination across the whole tray, and it is definitely ready to go into the light. Tray number 2 looks very similar. I would say it's slightly ahead of tray number 1 there. And again, same thing, just really solid looking germination, and this thing is definitely ready to start growing under light. Tray number 3, very similar to tray number 2. It actually has greened up just a little bit, so that means that it got some kind of slight ambient light. This is probably our top tray because it gets the most kind of light pass through. Again, same thing though, looking very even, very solid, and definitely ready to be in the light. And tray number 4, which is kind of, I would say almost the furthest behind. We got a little slow germination spot. And overall, I would say that this tray right here is the furthest behind. So I'm excited to see if this one can catch up. So for this experiment, since we do have soil for all of these and we have the worm castings, we're only going to be using plain unfiltered water. I'm not going to add any nutrients to this because that would just be an extra nutrient to kind of keep track of, and I think it would just throw this whole test off. So again, only plain unfiltered tap water. And we're going to bottom water these, so all I'm going to do is take about 1 2/3 cup of water, and I'm just going to pour that straight into this bottom little reservoir area of these trays. All right, so I've got my trays now watered and introduced into the light. I will see you guys here in a few days once these have greened up a little bit, and then I'll see you guys eventually on harvest day, where I hope we get some awesome results. See you guys soon. All right, y'all, we are on day 9 of this burpee worm casting experiment, and I am stoked because today is going to be harvest day. Before we get into that though, if you guys wouldn't mind, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button because it really does help out a YouTube channel. And be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bells. That way you guys get notified whenever new videos come out. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our growth on these trays and see how everybody is looking. Okay, so like I said, we are on day 9 of this experiment for this Kamatsuna spinach mustard, and everybody is looking really, really happy and healthy. So starting over here on tray number 1, bam, or -1. The health on this tray looks really great. The growth is really uniform and solid. Canopy looks nice and dense. The coloration is really great. It is a little bit lighter in some of these cotyledons than I would like, but I think that's just how Kamatsuna spinach looks. So that's something we're just gonna have to kind of deal with on the coloration on this guy. But overall, the health of this tray and the uniformity and the growth looks really, really nice. Tray number 2, now looking at these two side by side, I feel like tray number 2 is slightly more mounded, meaning it has a little bit more growth than tray number 1. And it, again, is looking very solid. I'm very happy with this growth. The coloration looks really nice, still a little bit lighter than I would like, but overall it is a very beautiful crop. Let's just pause right here. So if you guys don't remember, this is no worm casting, 1/4 cup, half a cup, full cup of worm castings. So tray number 3, again, is the half cup mark. This guy is looking really, really good. I'm very happy with it. I think it's very comparable in its growth to tray number 2. Yes, I would say those two are pretty even. And then tray number 4 over here seems to be a bit more plush than everybody else. It seems a bit more rounded, a bit more full than everybody else on this shelf. And I would say that the cotyledons even feel like they are slightly bigger over on tray number 4 compared to everybody else. All right, that's it for first glance. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get all of these trays harvested. So let me get a little station set up here and let's get to harvesting. First cut into the soil only tray, and this product looks really, really, really happy. I'm loving the coloration of the stem, and these cotyledons look nice and healthy. I am very happy with the appearance of this crop. Okay, first glance at this crop. Again, I'm seeing a very, very happy looking product here. I love the stem coloration. I'm really happy with the height. The cotyledon color is a really nice deep green. Try to flip that for you guys to see. And overall, I think this thing looks really, really healthy. So tray number 2 is looking really solid right now. Let's take a look at the appearance here. I think that looks equally as happy and healthy. I really love the, again, the same stem coloration there, and the cotyledons look equally, see if I can learn how to use the camera. Oh, there we go. Cotyledons look equally nice. And again, overall, I think it looks like a very happy product. Taking a look at the first cut here. I think that, again, the appearance is on par with everything else. It looks equally as happy and healthy, and the cotyledon coloration is really nice and green. I'm very happy with this product as well. Okay guys, I finished harvesting all 4 of the trays, so let's go ahead and take a look at the appearance much closer, as well as the harvest weights. As I said, we have finished harvesting all 4 of the trays, so these are stacked in order. This is tray number 1, tray number 2, tray number 3, tray number 4. Again, here it's 1, 2, 3, and tray number 4. So let's go ahead and discuss our harvest weights. I mean, we kind of got them over here, but let's put them up on the screen a little bit better. For tray number 1, we had a harvest weight of 164 grams. For tray number 2, which had the 1/4 cup of the worm castings, it had a harvest weight of 181 grams. For tray number 3, which had a 1/2 cup of the worm castings, it had a harvest weight of 186 grams. And then tray number 4, which had a full cup of the worm castings, had 192 grams for the harvest weight. So it actually went in order of worm castings added for the harvest weight, which is pretty interesting. So tray number 1, which had no worm castings whatsoever, had the lowest, and then tray number 4, which had the most worm castings, had the highest harvest weight. One thing I want to talk about for the harvest weights on the worm castings is that it was actually fairly close between the 3 trays that had the worm castings added. There was only an 11 gram difference from the lowest tray to the highest tray on the worm casting side. Now that's a huge difference there in the amount of worm castings used, so to only get that little bit of a difference, I think I'd rather stick with like a half a cup or a quarter cup just for the harvest weight and save a little bit of money on the worm castings itself. Now let's go ahead and talk about the appearance side by side. All of these look, I would say, identical. I'm not really seeing any differences whatsoever between all of these groups. I think all the stem coloration and cotyledon coloration looks really, really nice. I will say that trays 3 and 4 were just a little bit taller, but they can be cut down and you would never be able to tell the difference between the sizes. And let's take a look at the cotyledons here and just see. So again, all the cotyledons seem very similar in their coloration. I will say that some of these in the soil only group are a little bit light, whereas the ones with the worm castings were just a little bit darker there. Now it's time for a blind taste test in the form of a guest celebrity. So Mandy, yes, could you come in here and taste something? Don't know why I'm talking like a German scientist today. Okay, Mandy, thank you for coming. Let's go ahead and have you taste test these in a random order. You choose whichever one you want to taste. I'm not gonna tell you which one is which.
Okay.
Starting in the second little group there.
I don't even know what crop this is.
Okay, so what did you think of that first one?
So it had a lot of crunch right away, and then it kind of faded on that part, but the flavor was really strong, close to kind of mustard, I guess. It had a very strong mustard taste that also had a very slight bitter, but it wasn't that powerful in that.
So slight bitterness, that was very broad. Did you like it?
I think so.
Okay,
think so.
she thinks she liked it. All right, next group.
So. It's hard to tell yet. Yes. So with that group, there wasn't as strong of a flavor, though it still had that spiciness like the other group. I just felt like it was lacking just a little bit.
Okay, so group number 2 is your favorite so far. That one's not.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
I didn't like that. That one had a lot of bitterness to it and a very light spice, but I felt like it was really bitter.
Okay, so not your favorite. Bitter was an issue.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
I didn't like that one at all.
Okay, group number 4 you didn't like whatsoever.
There was like the initial flavor was nothingness, and then it faded into just a very green taste. That was gross.
Was it bitter or?
Yeah, it was just very green and no spiciness or. I didn't like that. That was not a good one to end on.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for your random guest appearance. You may go now. All right, so there we have it for Mandy for the blind taste test. So she said her favorite was number 2. I think number 1 was slightly behind it. Number 3 was behind that one. And then number 4 actually came in 4th place with the worst flavor. So overall winner for flavor, even though she demolished my groups, would be group number 2, which is this group right here. The worst flavor, she said, was group number 4. And I think behind that was this one right here. So groups 2 and 3 were her favorite. So the quarter cup of worm casting and then the half cup of worm casting. So to quickly recap, the winner in overall harvest weight was tray number 4, which had the most worm castings. That came in at 192 grams. The winner of appearance was actually a draw. I think all of these trays looked nice and similar, and the appearance on all of them was beautiful, so that is a draw. And then the winner for the taste test is actually tray number 2, which had the quarter cup of worm castings. Okay, I had to go run some calculations on the cost of all of these. So let's go ahead and do this in the order again that the trays were. So there's tray 1, tray 2, tray 3, and tray 4. So tray number 1 had none of the worm castings added. It was only the soil. So the cost on that for the 3 cups of soil was $1.13. The second tray had the same 3 cups of soil plus 1/4 cup of the worm castings, which came in at 18 cents. So the total cost for this one was $1.31. Tray number 3 had 1/2 cup of the worm castings added, and that added 36 cents to it. So it had the same 3 cups plus that half cup of worm castings, which made the total $1.49. As for the last tray, that had the same 3 cups of soil at $1.13 plus 1 full cup of the worm castings at 70 cents, which brought the total to $1.83. So let's quickly recap. $1.13 for this one, $1.31, $1.49, and then $1.83 for the last tray. So just based on the cost alone, I think that I would stick with this tray number 2 right here for being the overall winner for this experiment, mainly because it did give us a nice boost in harvest weight. I mean, from 164 up to the 181, that is a nice jump, and for that one having the best flavor, that is huge. So that extra 18 cents in cost that we added did provide us a benefit in the way of a better flavor and a higher harvest weight. So it seems like it would pay for itself. Okay, now it is time to choose an overall winner for this experiment, and I'm gonna have to go with tray number 2. The reason that I'm choosing tray number 2 is because it had the lowest cost and gave us the most benefit. It was only that 1/4 cup of the worm castings that costed us 18 additional cents, and it gave us the best flavor and a much higher harvest weight than only the soil alone. The tray that gave us the highest harvest weight just did not taste good, and same with number 3, which had that 1/2 cup added. Now again, I added 1/4 cup to 3 cups of soil, so it's a 3 to 1/4 cup ratio that I'm using, and I want to try this now on a much bigger scale for some different trays and try to play around that 1/4 cup mark and see if maybe 1/3 cup is better, or 1/8 of a cup, and just kind of see what kind of benefits we can get from those. So that is it for this experiment. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, give us a thumbs down. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below, and we'd love to get those answered for you as soon as we possibly can. Our Instagram and our Facebook are both at On The Grow Farms, and our website is www.onthegrow.net. Thank you so much, have a great day, and keep on believing.